When they did send me to the camp, I'll never forget, never forget. They sat us down when we got in on orientation and they said, look, there's no bars around here. There's no fences. If you want to leave, leave. Go ahead. We're going to catch you. And when we catch you, we're going to give you another 5 years. And you know what? Maybe once a month, they would lock us down in our dorms because somebody would just walk away. And in every single case, they always catch the guy. I don't know when anybody left that didn't come back. And when you come back, they don't send you back to the camp. They send you to another institution. Everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is blessed on this end. Praise God for that. And yes, all of those of you that are subscribing, you know we appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, jump on. We're on a march to 1 million. Who knows when that will come, but if it does come, it's because of the loyalty of all of you, and we appreciate it. You encourage us, motivate us to give you the best possible content that we can, and we try to work hard at that. MichaelFranzese.com. Again, growing in leaps and bounds, the inner circle and the crew. I know it's going to be for you. Jump on, give it a test, see if you like it. It's kind of a legacy thing for me. We're really helping people, and we're building a community that people are really, really, really loving and enjoying and getting something out of. That's the main thing. It's not going to break the bank. So go on it, give it a shot, MichaelFranzese.com. You know, there's a story that appeared in the news recently about a guy by the name of Dominic Taddeo. I didn't know him, don't know anything about him until I read the story, but allegedly he was a mob-connected guy up in Rochester, New York. Now, you know, I came out of New York, but didn't hear about this guy. So he was probably an associate, didn't say he was a made guy. They didn't even really affiliate him with any family. But anyway, years ago, it seems that he was convicted of 3 murders, 3 mob hits, and also of 2 more botched mob hits. So he was convicted of 3 mob hits, and then he went on to try to kill 2 more people. That didn't work from what I understand. So it was 3 that he killed, 2 that he tried to kill. Anyway, he gets convicted, and I believe he got 54 years, 54-year sentence back in 1992. I think he's been in jail all this time. Not really that clear on it, but I think he's been in jail all this time. He tried to get a compassionate release about a year ago, I think during COVID. The judge denied that. And then at the end of his sentence, which I'll get into a little bit, he was released into a halfway house. And a halfway house is what the federal system used to try to get you to re-enter into society after you've been away for so long. You're supposed to get a job. You kind of acclimate yourself to the surroundings. Normally, it's within the area that you live. You know, if you live in New York, you know, in Rochester, normally they would bring him to Rochester, and put him in a halfway house there. But after serving so much time, maybe he didn't have any family. I don't know what the circumstances were, but he was in a halfway house in Florida because that's the prison he was released out of Florida, in Orlando, I believe. Coleman, I think, is the name of the federal institution. It's a medium security prison. So he goes into the halfway house. He's there for a bit, has to go to a doctor appointment. He goes, and he never shows up back at the halfway house. And that's considered an escape. You know, it's not like you got to jump over the wall or, you know, over the razor wire or anything like that. But if you're in a halfway house, which is still an extension of the prison, you're still considered a Bureau of Prisons inmate when you're in the halfway house until you're released on parole or whatever the deal is. So they charge him with escape because he never goes back to the halfway house. I understand a couple of days later they found him. He's back in custody now. What could possibly happen, they could add another 5 years onto that if they want to, saying that it was an escape. If you do escape federal custody, the charge is another 5 years if they want to. They can sentence him to that. I'm sure he's going to get some kind of time unless he has a great explanation. Who knows? I don't know the circumstances. We'll find out later. But, you know, federal prison system is very interesting. I did time in a halfway house. I did it a little bit differently. I did time both before and after my prison sentence. Let me explain the circumstances of before. I took a plea, and many of you know this that follow me, a $15 million restitution and a 10-year prison sentence. Because I was negotiating the deal, I had been in custody because I didn't get bail on this particular charge. So I was in custody for about, I think, 4 months while we were negotiating this plea, 4 or 5 months. And since I owed them $15 million in restitution, my attorney said, listen, Michael's going to go into prison for a 10-year sentence. In order for him to pay this restitution, he needs to get out for some time and get his stuff in order so that he can make payments and he can get his family set up and all that. It was highly unusual, but we were able to pull it off. No, I didn't cooperate as a result of that. We just negotiated. It was part of the plea agreement. We were able to pull it off because I owed that big restitution. I had to get my stuff in order prior to my going into prison. So, judge agrees to that. That's the deal. So I'm leaving the Metropolitan Correctional Center, MCC in New York. They're going to ship me out to Florida. I was supposed to do my time in Terminal Island. That's what the judge recommended. The Bureau of Prisons didn't have to follow that. As a matter of fact, they didn't follow it. First, they sent me to Arizona. I eventually did get to Terminal Island. But now they send me out to a halfway house, and the marshals transport me out to a halfway house in California. When I get to the halfway house, I was like stunned. I couldn't believe this. The administrator of the halfway house looks at me and he says, I have an order, but what does this mean? How much time are you supposed to do in the halfway house? How many hours do you have to spend there? He didn't know. And nobody from New York put him wise to what the deal was. So I said, hey, this is my opportunity. I said, well, I'm making preparations. I'm going into prison. I have a 10-year sentence. And prior to that, because I have a major restitution, I'm getting my finances in order, getting my family squared because I've been with no bail. So I said, so the deal is, I could leave at 6 in the morning and I can get back at midnight. And he didn't question me. He said, okay, if that's the deal, that's the deal. So I leave there at 6 in the morning and I come back at midnight. And he said, what about a job? I said, well, this is a little bit different because I'm going in the halfway house prior to my prison sentence. So I don't really need to get a job. I'm just getting my stuff in order. Do you know that he listened to me? He didn't even check back in New York, as far as I know, because the whole 3 months that I was in there, I did basically what I wanted to do. Left at 6 in the morning, got back at midnight. And but the other guys were in there doing what they were supposed to do because all of them were coming into the halfway house after their prison time, getting themselves reacclimated to society. So I'll tell you another funny thing. There's a Bureau of Prison system. They rank you according to the severity of your crime, whether you're a security risk or not. And it goes from, I think, a number 1 to a number 6. If you're a number 1, normally you're going into a camp, minimum security. I was a number 3, 4, so that was a medium security for me. I had no prior violence on my record, so they put me in a medium security prison because I only had 10 years. I think during my time there, if you had up to 10 years and you had no violence and normally no drug, they would put you in a minimum security camp anyway. But when I went in, I was in a medium security. And I got shifted around. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. They had me on diesel therapy for a while. I did, almost 3 years in solitary because of my personal circumstances. But there was one time when I asked for a 1-day pass, a furlough, and I was able to get it. I got an 8-hour pass. I was up in Boron. I was in there. They put me in the camp by mistake as they were moving me around. They got me out of that camp pretty quick, but they put me in the camp by mistake. And while I was there, I asked for a 1-day furlough, and they gave it to me. So my wife picks me up, and we went to a local hotel there just to spend, 7 or 8 hours together. And she was driving me back that night, and I think I might have mentioned this before, but when I got back to the institution, the guy saw me through the glasses. I'm coming to the gate, and he looks at me. He knew who I was. And he says, Franzese, what are you doing back here? You're not due back until tomorrow. And I said, wow. Now, I told my wife to wait until I got into the gate, but I said, what do you mean? Now, I knew I only had an 8-hour pass, 1-day furlough. But he said, get out of here. I don't want to do the paperwork. You're not due back until tomorrow. Leave. So I said, wow, you mean I can get to spend the whole night? So I go back to my wife. I get in the car. I said, let's go. This guy doesn't know that I'm supposed to be in tonight. As we're driving, it struck me. I said, wait a second. This guy made a mistake. If it's found out, he's not going to take the weight. He's not going to say it's my fault. He's going to say Franzese didn't get back. Something's going to happen. I'm going to be charged with an escape. They're going to try to give me with another 5 years. I said, Cam, let's go back. So we go back to the prison. I knock on the window again. He looks at me and I said, I'm due back today. He's arguing with me. Finally, I said to him, I'm going to stay right outside the gate here until you call a lieutenant and let me back in the prison. I had to fight my way back in the prison from a furlough. Finally, I got through to him. I don't know if he called the lieutenant or what, but he let me back in and he processed me. These are some of the crazy things that happen in prison. Another time, I think I told this story, Henry Hill, who was in the witness protection program, he was in WITSEC and he was on separation. What they do in the federal system, they separate certain people that they don't want to put together. And that means they never put them in the same institution together. Well, Henry was on separation from me and a lot of other mob guys because of his cooperation. People looking to hurt him, so on and so forth. Well, by mistake, the Bureau of Prisons at one point in time sent him to Terminal Island. And I saw Henry as I was coming out of the cafeteria. He spotted me, I spotted him, was a problem. Initially, they were going to ship me out because he was there, but I told the lieutenant again, I said, hey, there's 14 other mob guys here. If you're going to ship us all out, ship Henry out. And Henry PC'd himself, protective custody on his own, and then they finally shipped him out. But that's a mistake that the Bureau of Prisons made. That's why I believe with Whitey Bulger, going back to that, they put him in an institution that he probably shouldn't have been in because guys in there knew who he was. And that's when, you know the story, he got killed in there. He probably should not have been in that institution. And the Bureau of Prisons does make mistakes at times. Not all the time. It's not, something they do all the time. But they do make mistakes and they could be a problem. That's the whole halfway house deal. I did eventually get back into the halfway house on my way out of prison. I did it the right way. I was supposed to get a job, but I think I was only there for 3 or 4 weeks. They gave me a short halfway house, and I did what I was supposed to do, reported when I was supposed to, left when I was supposed to, and that was it. It was, nothing, no big deal at that point in time. I was just glad to be out of the institution, into the halfway house, and halfway home. So that's it. I guess, like I said, they got Tadeo. Who knows if he's going to get another 5 years tacked on. They can give him up to 5 as far as I know. We'll see what happens. But that's it for today. Just thought I'd mention it because a lot of people are asking me, Michael, what do you think about this Dominic Tadeo thing? That's it. It's not really a extraordinary story. It's something that happened. And you know what? No, one other thing. When they did send me to the camp, I'll never forget. They sat us down when we got in on orientation and they said, look, there's no bars around here. There's no fences. If you want to leave, leave. Go ahead. We're going to catch you. And when we catch you, we're going to give you another 5 years. And you know what? Maybe once a month, they would lock us down in our dorms because somebody would just walk away. And in every single case, they always catch the guy. I don't know when anybody left that didn't come back. And when you come back, they don't send you back to the camp. They send you to another institution. So you got a little bit of an education on the Bureau of Prisons. So that's it. So how do I always leave you? Same way. Be safe. Be healthy. God bless every one of you. And yes, I'll see you next time. Take care.